Hello, gorgeous people! If you're someone who keeps up with today's trends, I promise this video is going to blow your mind.
Und die Nachfrage danach erstarkte drastisch. Barbara eröffnete noch im selben Jahr eine Bar und nannte sie Barbaras Rabatt.
Trends are like that one thing in today's modern world that everyone, no matter their age, seems to follow. And no, it's definitely not some sneaky manipulation tactic to lure people in. The thing about trends is that they can't be forced on anyone. The whole idea is totally random. Ever thought the good old 90s and Y2K styles would make a comeback? Probably not. But here we are, living proof of just how random trends can be. Nowadays, it feels like trends are here today and gone tomorrow. One week, everyone's raving about some new cotton skirt craze, and then boom, next week, it's all about tube tops. It's nuts how these trends blow up and fade away so fast. The speed of trends is at an all-time high, and it makes you wonder, where is all this heading? Sure, if you know a thing or two about today's world, you'd say social media and the internet are behind our current trends and consumption habits. And you'd be right, but there's more to it than that. Trends have always been a part of the fashion and cultural scene. It's how we interact with and define them that's changed a lot. A trend, according to Typical Parents' Old Dictionary, is a general direction and tendency of events and opinions. Sounds pretty boring, right? It also shows how much trends have changed since that dictionary was in use. Historically, trends evolved slowly. Look at fashion from any decade. The 50s are distinctive from the 80s. And even within the 19th century, the Victorian and Regency periods had their own vibes. Think of those periods as a bunch of people with funny wigs. Oops, not entirely wrong though. In fashion, there's a typical trend cycle with 5 stages: introduction, rise, peak, decline, and obsolescence. This used to happen over 20 years or so, reflecting the cultural and political climate of the time. For example, the feminist movement of the 60s and 70s influenced fashion by promoting gender equality and challenging traditional gender roles. Hoop skirts were out, power suits were in. Women were ditching restrictive clothing for more comfortable, functional options, mirroring the broader push for gender equality and empowerment. But today, a movement like that would look completely different and might be missed by future historians trying to keep up. Trends now are all about speed, massive numbers, and most importantly, selling things, thanks to the internet. Remember the frenzy over the Stanley tumbler bottle? If you peek at Google Trends, you'll notice it started gaining traction in late November and fizzled out by mid-January. The true madness, where people were going nuts in stores and all over social media, really only spanned from the end of December to mid-January, a brief 2-week hype for a specific product that's now mostly forgotten. But let's be real, that's just a water bottle story, right? Not exactly a fashion revolution. Yet this rapid rise and fall of trends is something we're seeing everywhere. Beauty, fashion, even food. Trends now seem to be dictated by ever-shifting algorithms, and it's eroding the subcultures that used to define pop culture, like hippies, punks, and even the emo kids of the 2000s. These new trends lack tangible or meaningful roots, so they change quickly and don't grow into lasting cultural movements. The internet's speed, coupled with modern consumerism, has put the traditional trend cycle into hyperdrive. It's tough to pinpoint current trends because they come and go so fast. By the time we write about them, they might already have passed. But remember the viral feta cheese and tomato pasta dish? Or when everyone was whipping up Dalgona coffee or baking sourdough bread? You might not even recognize these examples, and that's exactly the point.
Let's see if the whipped coffee is as good as I remember.
The internet has drastically changed how trends work. In the past, trends were broad and society-wide. Now, microtrends target specific groups. What's trending in one online community might be totally different from another. This has bigger implications than you might think. We're seeing the rise of hyper-specific aesthetics that last just weeks. Last year, there was the frazzled Englishwoman look. In 2020, cottagecore was huge. And let's not forget Sandlercore, yes. People unironically dressing like Adam Sandler. On the other side, have you ever noticed how TikTok takes these obscure digital aesthetics and suddenly everyone is into them? Terry Nguyen from Vox points out that traditional subcultures are basically meaningless now in our algorithm-driven world. Instead of a kid dressing like a punk to rebel against the system, they'll do it for a couple of weeks because it's trending on their feed. Let's take Doc Martens, for example. They blow up on TikTok, sales go crazy, and suddenly, the brand starts pumping out products to meet this new, fleeting demand. This changes how brands interact with their fans. But where are we actually headed to? Legacy brands pandering to passing trends and people collecting trendy water bottles they don't need. It's like the aesthetic of a decade is getting lost in our digital age. We're being hit with a constant stream of short-lived trends, making moments feel exciting but ultimately empty. It's all just marketing for stuff we don't need. Anna Angelic, a brand exec, said culture has decentralized. The mainstream is gone and nobody knows where they fit anymore. That's why it's so hard to pinpoint what decade we're in by looking at fashion. Some people dress like it's the 2000s, others like it's the 70s, and some like they're on a farm in the 1830s. It's like everything is happening all at once. Teens are trying out digital aesthetics online, then buying fast fashion to match, only to ditch it when it no longer fits their vibe. We've even created websites just to figure out what's going on. In a way, this freedom is cool. We can express ourselves however we want without being tied to a particular look. But for most people, it just means more shopping to keep up. The dark side of this shortened trend cycle is fueled by fast fashion and sites like Amazon and Temu. You can't reinvent yourself every 2 weeks without the rapid production and fulfillment of modern capitalism. Our desire to overconsume is at the heart of this issue. Constantly updating our wardrobes for trends that fade quickly leaves us feeling like we have nothing to wear, and collections of items we'll never use. We're stuck in this cycle of meaningless trends, trying to figure out where it's all going. A new trend pops off on TikTok. Everyone talks about it, it becomes a buzzword, and a few weeks later, it's cringy to mention. It's a fast, confusing ride, and we're all just trying to keep up. So stay tuned for more updates, and don't forget to hit the subscription button and let us know about your opinions in the comments section below.